Welcome back, Wolfpack Verliser, and how to use Cofagrigus. Now this Pokemon has some filthily tanky stats. I love it. 145 on the defense. I am really excited to see that. 105 on the special defense as well, and then 58 on the hit points. 58 hit points, not that bad. Think about Rotom. Rotom has 107 in both defenses and 50 on the hit points. So Cofagrigus going to be tankier special defensive and much tankier actually defensively. It just doesn't have the sick typing of a Wash Rotom, and 95 on the special attacks. So, I mean, we still get to put out a decent amount of damage. We're as slow as it gets with that 30 base speed, but that doesn't really matter. And 50 attack. We're just going to be a really tanky Pokemon that can put out a decent amount of damage from that special attack. We got typing, Pure Ghost typing, which isn't that bad from that just weakness standpoint, that we're only weak to Ghost and Dark. Not the most common things out there, however we don't have a lot of resistances. We can't really bring it in with confidence and wall out some really powerful Pokemon, but, you know, we have Poison, Bug resistances, so you might be able to keep a Fairy type safe with this one and then make some work happen. Also, immunities to Normal and Fighting, that's just going to be your standard Ghost type Pokemon, but I mean, it's a Coffin, it's just absurdly tanky. Hopping into Pokemon Showdown, we're going to see that Cofagrigus is a very powerful Trick Room Pokemon, and one of the few really solid singles Trick Roomers. That a lot of the Trick Room Pokemon that we review overall, they're just really tanky, and they're going to have some kind of means of getting that Trick Room set off really reliably, but that's going to be easily done in doubles, and like really for a good double strategy. But Cofagrigus, because of the nasty plot, can actually make some work happen in singles, as well as the Mummy ability, so if they make contact, they might lose their ability as well, and that could be pretty good for the setup. So the idea is we set up Trick Room, we go Nasty Plot, we go Shadow Ball, and then we kind of win, and that's how Cofagrigus wants to work. So the interesting thing about this is you can also set singles Trick Room for other strategies, that, you know, if Cofagrigus goes down after, you know, 4 turns, you still have one more turn of Trick Room that you can make use of. So having an extra slow Pokemon that's super powerful might be good to work with Cofagrigus, or if you're making it on that last turn Trick Room, just use the Destiny Bond, and that's going to kind of be the best thing. Now, what makes this set so powerful is that with the Citrus Berry, it's going to be very difficult to 2-hit KO you. That, you know, Trick Room activates, so you're taking damage on that turn. Use Nasty Plot, you're taking damage on that turn. If they don't 3-hit KO you, it's pretty much going to be over for them, because now they're dealing with a +2 stab Shadow Ball, and that can work pretty well. Or if they have a normal type Pokemon, that unless they understand which set this is, because they might not know the Destiny Bond. If you don't want to run Destiny Bond, you can run something else here as well. That what you'll actually see is one of the very few uses of Hidden Power Fighting, because it's going to get super effective hits, and that's going to be really nice, or I just like the Destiny Bond. Either way, you're walking away with 2 knockouts or more with this, depending on how hard the Shadow Ball is going to sweep, and if you play the Destiny Bond properly. That if they get a sense for it on that last turn, might mess you up a bit, but overall you have some really good options right here. And then I was thinking max out the hit points, max out the special attack, go Quiet Nature because it's Trick Room, so we need no speed. With the Hidden Power Fighting, you technically need like the 2 IVs here according to Pokemon Showdown, but whatever IV spread gets you Hidden Power Fighting, if that happens, that works. So aim for as little IVs and speed as possible, Quiet Nature, and then go to work and then just kind of do whatever. Hidden Power Fighting going to be really tricky to get a hold of on this, but we might find something else that happens. So overall, Modest Nature, boosting that 316 to over 600. Shadow Ball is going to be stat and a pretty powerful hit overall, and you just try to make work happen. That I wouldn't necessarily use this as a lead either. That if you can get Stealth Rocks on the field, soften up your opponent's Pokemon, make it to where if they have 1 or 2 normal types, get rid of them with some fighting coverage, so 1 or 2 fighting Pokemon or something carrying close combat, could be pretty helpful with other tanks, and then Cofagrigus just comes in and goes for that finish on the Trick Room, might be able to get some work done. So let's just compare to Rotom really quick, you know, 107s and then 50, so we're going to end up with more hit points overall, and then even after the defensive breakdown. So say we max out the defense, 313 compared to the 325, so it's going to be pretty tanky on this Cofagrigus no matter how you cut it, and you're just going to try to survive as much as possible. And that's kind of all that there is to this set. After that, we can look at a really heavy setup Cofagrigus. That with Calm Mind, well, we already have a very high defense, so Calm Minding on top of that means we're going to get unkillable. Will-O-Wisp, well, that's going to burn your opponent, so it means that they're doing less physical damage to you, which makes you unkillable physically. Even like super effective hits might not even find 2-hit KOs on you, which is kind of crazy to think about. Then you have Pain Split and Hex. Hex is going to work out here. Also, you don't want the Impish Nature. You want the Bold Nature on this one because lowering special attack doesn't do anything for you. Hex. This is an interesting move. Power doubles if the target has a status ailment. So unless they're like a Flash Fire or a Fire-type Pokemon, Hex is going to be a very solid hit over Shadow Ball. Just damage overall and stab and a solid hit. So we don't need to boost into it too much because of the Calm Mind. So Will-O-Wisp into 1 Calm Mind into a Hex that's going to be ridiculous amounts of damage. After the double burn with the Hex, might even find a KO in some situations. Now here's where things do get unfortunate for Cofagrigus. Your only sustain is Pain Split. So you need to play it really well, that you have to kind of have that second sense of how much damage your opponent is going to do, and if you need to Pain Split or do damage. Do too much damage, Pain Split isn't going to heal you for enough, and you're going to get knocked out. Pain Split too early, and then you're not really getting much effect out of it. However, you can find some good rotations, you know. Will-O-Wisp, Calm Mind, Pain Split, you're a 3-hit KO Pokemon with this, so by then you're going to be at low hit points. They're only taking 1 or 2 damage, or 1 or 2 turns of burn from the damage, so you Pain Split to over half hit points, and then that's where you kind of keep playing it out. You go for Calm Mind. I think that a good rotation would be Will-O-Wisp, Calm Mind, Pain Split, Calm Mind, Pain Split. Then you finish them off with a Hex, and after you take that damage, you Pain Split on the fresh Pokemon coming in. They're at full hit points. You'll be somewhere under half maybe. Pain Split back up to high, and then you start going for 1-hit KOs on Hex or just Will-O-Wisp Hex, and Leftovers is going to kind of keep your sustain going. If you've played Pain Split before on Pokemon like Rotom, Pokemon like Dusclops, you're going to be able to have a good feel for it. So once you understand that, or once you've played with Cofagrigus enough, the experience is really going to pay off in making the most out of the set, and then you just become absolutely unkillable. Now, to a degree, you can maybe even go Chesto Resto. This is going to be riskier, but it is also going to have a very high reward. Because what you want to do is Will-O-Wisp them, Calm Mind twice, and then go into your rest. Chesto Bear is going to wake you up, so now you're at full health. You're ready to fight again. Depending on how your opponent is dealing with you, you know, you can set up another Calm Mind and rest, and if they're not 3-hit KOing you, then you wake up and you can still get damage or go back into rest or find some other forms of sustain. This is pretty much going to be played like how I play my Snorlax. I play Stockpile Snorlax, and by the time you get 3 stockpiles on Snorlax, the opponent is like 5-6 hit KOing you. So you can wake up, do some damage, go back to sleep, wake up, find something to do after this Chesto Berry goes off, so you can still make it work. If you're running Chesto Berry, I would recommend more defense. Probably something around this range would work out really well. That way, after you Will-O-Wisp, if you get enough Calm Minds, you know, you go 2-3 Calm Minds, it doesn't matter what you're doing with your special defense by then. It's pretty much bulk special defense, that way you can survive those first couple of special attacks really well, get the Calm Minds, use Will-O-Wisp, and then you're good to go. And now you effectively have over 700 defense, which is going to make you very tanky. So that's kind of the idea behind the Chesto Resto on Cofagrigus. We can't really rest talk because we need the Will-O-Wisp, so that's going to be it on this Cofagrigus. And then we also just have Will-O-Wisp on max hit points, max defense on a 145 defense Pokemon. You're not taking any damage from anything physically. You can switch into a physical Pokemon with confidence, use Will-O-Wisp, then Pain Split the next turn, get a lot of your health back with Leftovers and Pain Split, and then they're not going to be able to do anything to you, so you can go for the Nightshade to knock them out. Then on the new Pokemon coming in, you Pain Split, you get health, you Will-O-Wisp, and you do whatever. And you also have Haze, so if they start trying to set up, you know, even with all this physical tankiness, if they're setting up Dragon Dance, if they're setting up Swords Dance, that could get pretty bad for you pretty quick. So you just haze it away, and now they're taking burn damage, and they're losing all their setup, and then you can eventually deal with that Pokemon that way. Now, what I do recommend is, think about it, Cofagrigus is weak against Ghost and Dark. So if you have Pokemon that resist that really well, Cofagrigus is going to shine. And if you have a huge special offensive wall, that's just the most filthy core you can have. That Cofagrigus special defense wall core will be absurd, and then you just go into other Pokemon from there for the sweep or finishes. I feel you might need a little bit of team tuning to try to figure out what works with Cofagrigus in this way. But overall, this is like the ultimate shutdown, and if you want to get even more filth on it, you can go with the Rocky Helmet. So that way, whenever they hit you, not only do they lose their ability because of Mummy, they take damage, and then you Nightshade, and then you do things. Now, Rocky Helmet does make Pain Split harder, so if they hit you, they lose health, and then Pain Split heals you for less. So I wouldn't super recommend it, but it's definitely an option to consider. And then we have Trick Room Cofagrigus in doubles. Now, Mental Herb is going to be pretty necessary. You don't want to get out taunted. You're not really worried about too much else. And then you just like run super filthy tank that you go maybe max hit points, max special defense with a Bold Nature or something like that, and then you just call it good. Now with this, you can play Absolute Tank. You Will-O-Wisp. Well, now they take damage, and then they get burned, and then they can't do anything to you. So you can technically run a set like this, except instead of rest, you just kind of hope for the best. That you Will-O-Wisp, you Calm Mind, and then you see how many times you can use that, and you try to start blowing up your opponent's Pokemon through a Dark Pulse or something like that under Trick Room. Now also, if you're running Trick Room, have another Trick Room Pokemon next to you. That with that, you can have Pokemon like Mawile. They're like, okay, do I focus the Cofagrigus and lose my ability, or do I focus Mawile, let Cofagrigus set up and destroy me? Cofagrigus Mega Mawile is absurd to deal with, especially when you're putting out a lot of pressure. Also, in doubles, Cofagrigus does synergize with a Pokemon like Slacking. Slacking will be able to do a weak move, like you Ice Punch Cofagrigus. Mummy applies on Slacking, so now Slacking doesn't have the Truant ability, and you can still It's kind of hard though, because Slacking isn't that great under Trick Room because it has 100 base speed, so you can maybe go with a Brave Nature and like cut down as much as possible to make it fast in the Trick Room, or you can just kind of use Cofagrigus as a support from there. Cofagrigus has an excellent support setup. They go for Disable. That Trick Room Disable, if you don't want to be as offensive, you can just kind of run full support Cofagrigus. Trick Room Disable with that Will-O-Wisp. Psych Up if you're gaining stats or if your opponent's gaining stats. You get to Psych Up that. You also get access to Snatch. Snatch can be pretty awesome, and that's kind of it. You also still have the Destiny Bond, so Destiny Bond you can at least trade. So set up Trick Room, you Will-O-Wisp an opponent, you Destiny Bond the other, trade 1 for 1 while also statusing and gaining field condition. Cofagrigus can be very, very nasty to deal with, or you can just run Nightshade if you need reliable damage, going to do at least 50 damage in doubles for VGC and level 50 battles. So you guys enjoyed the video. All the awesomeness and filth that is Cofagrigus. I hope you all have a nice day. Thank you for watching. Cofagrigus OP.